Global oil prices have fallen significantly in the last few months, leading to major fall in revenue for oil-dependent countries. With Nigeria falling within the bracket of the most hit, experts in the technology industry say it is time to step up innovation and increase revenue from the tech sector.
I'll simply give you examples from South Korea and India. Post-Asia financial crisis 1997, the South Korean government adopted an ICT-focused and ICT-driven economic recovery strategy. In the process, within a matter of years, ICT was controlled up to 25% of the GDP. In terms of numbers, over $200 billion. India did the same thing with outsourcing.
I think it would have been worse if we were not where we are today in terms of the impact that ICT has played and has continued to play in the economy. Of course, you can recall that they recently replaced GDP that telecom is continuing.
From 2010 until mid-2014, world oil prices had been fairly stable at around $110 per barrel. But since last June, prices have reduced to twice the initial amount. Unfortunately, Nigeria earns 60% of our revenue from oil sales. In other words, the other 40% comes from all the other sectors put together. The implication of this, experts say, is huge, but the tech sector in Nigeria remains optimistic.
One good lesson that I think we should learn as a country from the slump of oil prices across the globe is the need for us to diversify our economy. There is a huge level of benefit that can accrue to this country from ICT alone. There are so many countries that are not really oil-producing countries. They're doing very, very well now.
We have gotten ourselves to the point where ICT has begun to take roots in our economy and has become like a major source of a job provider, as well as bringing efficiency in businesses.
And to the Director of Public Affairs at the Nigerian Communications Commission, Tony Ojobo, the Nigerian ICT industry will continue on a growth pattern.
Absolutely no cost for money. No, absolutely no cost for money. Just like I said, nations go through times like this. Nigeria is not the only country, of course, that is going through this challenge. But somehow, nations have always been able to rise up to the issue through the instrumentality of policies that will stabilize the economy. And I believe that the government is doing that. I don't see that happening because, one, ICT Nigeria, we haven't even scratched the surface. And that is the reason why you still see today that investors are still, even with some people still putting funds out. And of course, you will know that the reason why people are putting their funds is because of the elections. I mean, a lot of people are, kind of apprehensive. Whether they are right or wrong, I don't know, I can't really say. But the point is that, a lot of people are doing things based on speculation, not really based on carefully articulated economic considerations. But of course, you also understand that in simple finance principles, you will understand that the higher the risk in any particular environment, the higher the returns. And you have venture capitalists that are looking at places where you have high risk because they get into it during the time when the risk is high. And then, of course, before other people know what is happening, they're already entrenched and established, and they're reaping the benefits. And we have an example in telecoms. At the time the digital mobile operators were licensed in 2001, there were some companies that didn't want to come. There were some organizations some established telecom companies around the world who, at that time, were being moved to come and invest, and they didn't. And the people that actually took the risk at that time, the risk involved at that time to invest, you can see what is happening today. So when others now wanted to come, it was already these other guys were already well entrenched here.
Tony Ojobo is not alone. The Director General of NIDA, Peter Jack, shares this optimism and says the future remains bright for the Nigerian economy, with IT playing its role.
What's happening is that with our new focus of creating capacity, we are encouraging all solution providers to embark primarily on a capacity building program first, before trying to deploy their solutions aggressively.
There are challenges that must be overcome if Nigeria must reap financial gains of the digital age.
One thing that is very special about this country is that Nigeria is a very unique country. There is nothing we want to achieve or that we want to do that we can't achieve. Because God has so blessed us with so many things. For instance, if you look at the issue of ICT, ICT was contributing nothing, absolutely nothing, to the economy of this country in about 15, 20 years ago. When we started, and with the coming of the ministry, it started growing. At the time we were doing 4%, at the time 6%, at the time 8%. Now we are doing about 10%. And this is because of various initiatives that the federal government has put in place to develop the sector. Like I said, we have the national IT policy, we have the telecom policy, we have the space policy, we have institutions that have been established to create these policies. NIDA for the IT policy, NCC for the telecom policy, NASDA for space policy, and we now have an umbrella body, which is the Ministry of Communication Technology, to drive the ICT sector in Nigeria. Why? Because government has realized that there is no escape from ICT deployment. And how can you deploy without developing? You need to develop that sector to effectively deploy it, to enhance productivity, and to enhance foreign revenue generation, and to even see it as an alternative source of revenue generation for the country. I tell you that we can make far more than what we are making from oil and gas, from IT. We really channel our energy towards that sector. And I see us moving towards that area. And that is why I said it's a good lesson for us to say, okay, we don't have to rely absolutely on oil and gas. Yes, it's a natural thing that God has blessed us with. We can't just wish it away. There are some other minerals too. But the most important thing now is human capital development, and which is driven by ICT. So, and talk of hardware, talk of software, talk of networking, whatever you can think of, we have capacity in the country that can match with anybody from any part of the world. And I believe this will, to a large extent, work for us, for individuals to create jobs, to create wealth, to earn revenue, and for the country to make money from it.